Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Teacher Rayven. You're here at Teacher Rayven Vlogs. So this is the second part of the three-part series for nouns. I hope that you learned something from the first part. If you haven't watched it, please click the description and also the card here so that you'll be directed to that video. And then go back here if you're done. Okay, so now let's go to the second part. This is Language Talks. The second part of the series for nouns will be about its functions. So the nouns have actually different functions. It functions as a subject, a direct object, indirect object, subject complement, object complement, and you have object of a preposition, a positive, and noun modifiers. So we have all of these as functions of the noun. So let's now take a look at each function. Now let's begin with noun as subject. So noun as subject is when a noun does the action or being talked about in a sentence. So for example, we have here, Maria writes a story. So who writes the story? That is Maria. So in this sentence, the subject is Maria. Okay? And then the verb, of course, you have writes, and then the remaining part of the sentence. The next example here, we have one is a teacher. Now, again, who does the action or being talked about in the sentence? Who is the topic of the sentence? In this case, we have one. Okay? So that's your noun as subject. Now let's continue with noun as direct object. Now for noun as direct object, we have a noun that receives the action performed by the subject. Now usually I have the question what or whom for me to be guided. For example, Maria writes a story. So again, we know that Maria, and we also have the next example, one teaches the students. So in the first example, we have Maria writes a story. Again, who is the subject? We have Maria. And then she does something, that is to write. This is your verb. Now, what is that? Maria writes. Maria writes what? You have the story. So this is your direct object. Okay? Now, in the next example, you have one teaches the students. We have the topic, the subject as one. One is doing what? Teaches, or he teaches. So this is your verb, your action word. Teaches what? Or whom? You have students. So this is your VO. Okay? So that is your noun as direct object. Okay, for noun as indirect object, it is a noun recipient of a direct object that answers the question to whom or for whom. So as you can see in the example, we have here Maria writes one stories. So if you will ask the question on direct object, Maria writes what? She is not writing one, but she is writing for one. That's why you can see here, Maria is the subject. Then the verb is writes. And then the direct object. In looking for the indirect object, you have to first look for the direct object. So you ask the question, Maria writes what? Is it one or the stories? So Maria writes stories. So that's the direct object. Now, and that story is for what? Or for whom? That is one. So that's the indirect object. It's called the indirect object because it usually comes after the verb, but it's not really what the verb wanted to do. That's why it's indirect. It's not the direct object of the verb. Okay? Now the next example is one teaches the Aitas English. So again, Let's look for the subject. That's one. One is doing what? He teaches. Teaches what? Let's look again, before looking for the indirect object, let's look for the direct object. Teaches what? English. And then you ask again the question, to whom or for whom? The aita. So that's your indirect object. So that's your noun as indirect object. You have noun as subject complement. So noun as subject complement, it is when a noun that completes the meaning of a linking verb. So as we all know, we have your linking verbs, your is, your are, and what have you. So here in the example, we have Maria is a writer. So the doer of the action, or the one that is talked about. Okay, so the topic is Maria. So here, Maria, is she doing something? No, she's not. Okay, but there is something that she does, and that is being described here. So the status of Maria, so you use the linking verb to pertain to that status. Okay, and that is. So you have here your linking verb, and then a writer. So a writer here is a noun. Okay, so the noun here being a subject complement is writer, talking about Maria. So this is your SC. Okay, that talks about Maria. Okay, now remember that when we talk about the subject complement, you will always have a linking verb before it and not an action verb, just like a while ago, writes. Okay, that's why we changed the verb into a linking verb. Here we have is. The next example, we have the learners are children. So again, you're talking about a topic, which is your learners. This is the subject. Your linking verb, since the subject is plural, we use are and not is. Okay, so this is your linking verb, or are. And then children, so you're talking about or describing your learners as children, so they are your subject complement. So they complete the meaning of your subject. Okay, so here it's talking about, again, going back to the subject itself. That's why it's subject complement. It talks about the subject. Okay, and again, you have a linking verb, that's are, before the subject complement, the noun children. Okay, there. So now let's continue. Let's have the next one, noun as object complement. So noun as object complement, we have a noun that follows and modifies or refers to a direct object. So here, it's after a direct object. Okay, it talks about more about the direct object or the noun. In this example, we have they consider Maria an artist. So we have here your they is your subject. Okay. Then consider is your verb. Then you have Maria is your consider whom or consider what. You have Maria, so that's a direct object. You go back again to that definition of direct object. And then you said here in the definition of object complement, it modifies the direct object. So the word after the direct object here is artist. Okay, of course, an artist, that's a phrase. Now if you disregard this, the article an, you have artist as your OC. Okay, or your object complement, talking about not the subject a while ago, not this one, but Maria, the DO. That's why it's object complement, not subject complement. A while ago, subject complement talks about the subject, but object complement, it talks about the object, and in this case, the direct object. Okay? Now let's have another example for this one. Okay, so the next example is, okay, we have the students elected one teacher of the year. So let's go back again. What is the topic, the subject? We have students. Okay, elected, that's their verb, they did that. Elected whom? We can look for the direct object, and that is one. And then what does it talk about the DO? So the word is teacher of the year, this one. So this is a noun, okay, that talks about this one, your DO. Okay, again, not your subject. That's why it's object complement. It talks about the direct object or another object in the sentence. Okay, well, let's continue. Let's have noun as object of preposition. Here, I will just give you also sentences, but this is in the phrase level. So you can look at the object of a preposition in a phrase level. Okay, so a noun that follows a preposition and completes its meaning. So here we use the sentence, Maria writes on the table. So this is the complete sentence for that. But we focus on this phrase, the on the table. Okay, so on the table here, we have, just like what you said, you have a noun that follows a preposition. So you have here a preposition. What is that? You have on. Okay, and where is that noun that follows that preposition? This one. So this is the whole prepositional phrase. Your whole prepositional phrase, and then you have your table as your object of the preposition or the OP here. Okay, that completes the meaning of your preposition, which is on. Okay. Okay, so now let's have another example. We have one saw the book under his chair. So you have the complete sentence. Then now let's focus on this phrase, under his chair. Now under his chair, you have what preposition? Yes, you have under. So this is the preposition. Then what is now the object of the preposition? The noun that follows that. You have chair. That's your OP. Okay? There. So that's your noun as object of preposition. Now let's continue with noun as a positive. A noun which immediately follows another noun in order to further define or identify it. So here we can understand that better in this sentence. So my sister Maria is a writer. So here appositives are not very important parts of the sentence. It just adds meaning to your sentence. They just add meaning to your sentence or to your subject. For example, here we have my sister as your subject. Okay, and then you have a linking verb. We used this a while ago. And then you have writer as a subject complement. But here we have Maria. Okay, so Maria, we could actually remove that. Okay, and we can still have my sister is a writer. Okay, but we wanted to have a positive to add meaning to the subject, which is my sister. So you added a noun there in between the subject and the linking verb. Then enclose with 2 commas. So that is your appositive. So the appositive here is Maria. Okay? There. The next example is this one. So we have one, a teacher helps the aitas. So here we have one as your subject. Okay, then the complete sentence is actually helps the aitas. So we have the verb and who. We have, or whom. We have one helps the aitas. So even though we don't have a teacher, we could have still the one helps, the I does. Okay? But again, we need an appositive. So to add meaning to one, to describe more one, we use a noun, okay, in between the subject and the verb, and close with your comma. That is your appositive. Okay, again, your appositive could be a word like Maria, or could be a phrase like a teacher. You have your article plus the noun. Okay? Now let's continue. The next one and the last function of a noun is a noun modifier. A noun which can be used as an adjective. So here, the example, Maria writes a Filipino novel. So let's not focus more on the sentence, but focus on this phrase. Yeah, there. We have Filipino novel. Now here, you have Filipino, okay, which is a noun, okay, a proper noun, and then we have novel, which is also a noun. So here, the noun that used to be a modifier or that describes another noun is Filipino. Okay, so it acted as an adjective, a noun in form, but its function is to be an adjective, a describing word. Okay, then another one, we have one attended a grammar workshop. So let's focus on this phrase. You have grammar, a noun, and also you have workshop, another noun. So here, workshop is described by another noun that functioned as an adjective or a modifier, and that is your grammar. So grammar and Filipino, here are examples of your noun modifiers. Okay, so again, these are your functions of nouns. You have subject, direct object, indirect object, subject complement, object of a preposition, a positive, and a noun modifier. So I hope that you like and learned something from this video. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button there, comment if you have questions. You could also email me, and of course, subscribe and share this video. Thank you everyone. Class dismissed.